Welcome once again to Rufl, Utah, and our update. It is May 4th, 2017. I want to welcome everybody to the video, and there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about real quick. One of the things, it will seem like it doesn't have anything to do with family law, but I'm going to tell you why it does. Now, let's just jump right into that and start with that. We have a petition up on change.org, and this is to remove healthcare subsidies for members of Congress and their families. Now, this is fast approaching 1 million signatures, which is one of the highest amounts of signatures I've ever seen on one of these change.org petitions. And I've gone through, I've read a lot over the years, I've signed quite a few over the years for animal rights and, for homeless, a few other things. But one of the things that strikes me about this is that these lawmakers have written in statutes into this enormous overhaul of the Obamacare, and they've written in these statutes that will allow them to exempt themselves from the very same laws and new things that would be put in place, new regulations put in place when they revise Obamacare into something else. And they want us to follow these new rules and guidelines, but they're not willing to do it themselves. Folks, I'm going to put a link to this particular petition in the bottom of the video, in the probably in the description on YouTube, and also there will be a link when I post this on Facebook. We need to sign this to tell these bozos in Washington we're not going to accept that. Now, one of the other things that I've read on this particular petition is that these guys are also going to allow sexual assault to be considered a pre-existing condition. Now, a pre-existing condition would be defined as something that maybe you were born with, was hereditary, something that happened 2 years ago. I guess if you look at the description of that, they could say, well, it does by definition meet pre-existing condition. However, this is something that was a crime, okay? If somebody has been sexually assaulted and it's been reported, I don't care if you're a man or a woman or a child, I don't care who you are, that should not be considered a pre-existing condition, period. All that's going to do is encourage people that are having a hard enough time coming forward. There's going to be people that are going to be aware of that, and it's going to discourage them from coming forward even more. This is absolutely disgraceful by these lawmakers. The fact that they think that they are entitled to Cadillac insurance plans is disgraceful by these lawmakers. And all of this ties in to them thinking that they are above the public, they are above the law, and that they have their own set of rules that they get to live by that is different than the general public. That all ties into family law, the corruption we've seen in the courts, and with all of the attorneys, judges, lawmakers that have even been involved in corruption situations before. It all ties in. It's the same good old boys network where you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and the general public can go take a flying leap while we get our Cadillac insurance plans and all kinds of entitlements. Folks, I need you guys to read this and get on board and sign it, and let's send a message to these Washington political assholes that we're not going to put up with this as citizens. Not only do we need to sign this, but I'm going to take it a step further. Something that I have been saying for the last 10 plus years. We are at a time where we need to force term limits on these clowns in Washington. There needs to be term limits. It is the only way we're ever going to get corruption under control. It is the only way we're ever going to get these guys to get back to working for us. And frankly, I think it's the only way to save this form of government that we have in the United States in the long run. The form of government we have now is so prone to corruption, and there's so many of these dirtbags in there doing all kinds of favors for each other and illegal things. Our government, the way that it is set up now, if it continues, is going to eventually collapse. So, I want you to go over, take a look at this petition, and sign it. I've signed it. This is good. This is good for the citizens. Is it good for the lawmakers? I don't give a shit. And it probably isn't. But you know what? It's good for the citizens. And they're put there in Washington to look out for their constituents and the public first, not themselves. So, I don't really care if it's good for them. I don't care what their personal views are, that they think they're entitled to be a bunch of fat hogs that get to live off the public like a bunch of slime balls. I have no respect for these Washington politicians, and that goes for both sides. I don't want to make this a Democrat or Republican issue. This is a long-time, life-term politician issue where you have these guys that think they're going to get in there and they're going to live their lives in there. Orrin Hatch of my state is a perfect example. The guy should have retired 20 years ago. He's going senile. He's out of touch with the real world. He's out of touch with younger folks. And I don't see him doing any good for Utah's future. And I think more and more people, we're dominated by Republicans in this state, and I think more and more people are starting to see that and agree with it. If we don't get rid of this guy the next election, he is literally going to stay here till he dies in office. And we've already had a few people that have done that. Folks, if you want your country back, stop complaining, stop bitching online, stop being inactive, and stop blaming other people for not taking action. If you're inactive, it's your own damn fault that we have the system that's corrupt and broken the way we do now. Get involved. Go sign this petition. Let's continue to put pressure on them through the media, through the public. And you know what? The Constitution has some statutes in it, and I'll put this in a separate video. We can force the Congress in Washington to do a vote. We can force them to do this as the public, to do a vote, to force them to vote for term limits. We can cram it down their throats if we have to, and that is what it's going to eventually take if we ever get it done. Okay? That is it for today. I know it's slightly off center for family law, but those of you who've been involved in this for a long time that understand the corruption, you know that it totally has to do with family law. It's just one more step in the process of corruption with the lawmakers, the judges, the attorneys, everybody getting fat off the system while the regular U.S. citizen gets screwed. So, I will see you next time. We'll have another video for you. Until next time, remember, stay safe. And family is the most important thing in life above all else, including corrupt political power. Take care.